stop talking. I'm starting. The podcast is now starting now, and we're not turning back. I'm Johnny B. This is the Liberty Lounge podcast. I'm somehow trapped in a room with these knuckleheads. To my left is knucklehead number one. It's Jared of Guns and Gadgets. Best thing going on in your world today?
Family's healthy and can't be happier to be back home from traveling for a couple weeks.
Yeah, and you're heading back out when? Tomorrow. Out there in California is my boy. It's Anthony, the armed scholar. He's holding up a left and a right because before we started filming, I couldn't remember which one left and right was. Thanks, Anthony, for that. What's the best thing going on in your life?
Life, family. We haven't talked about it on the podcast, but I got a baby on the way, so
yay! Round of applause.
Early February, got a baby coming. So
Anthony has spread his seed, the paterfamilias, as they say. That's exciting. We got to hang out this past weekend in, as of the filming of this past weekend in Knoxville, Tennessee for the inaugural. Some people kept saying the first annual. There's no such thing as first annual. You have an inaugural. It was the inaugural goals convention for the gun owners of America. Of course, all of y'all saw that we had Eric Pratt, the cheese of GOA, or one of the cheeses, hanging out here at the Liberty Lounge. And we all hung out together. Holy smokes, what a great time.
It really was, especially for a first year event. I was blown away with not only the attendance by media members who were there, including the opposition, but how many people came from the public. And you can see his reaction. There were some embeds from the Trace, Bloomberg. There was all kinds of people. Rolling Stone. There were some bad articles written about some patriots, which means we're doing something right.
We're doing something right. Anthony, Jared just said that, hey, there's some articles written about all of us. Jared was featured in Rolling Stone the other day. Michael was of Mr. Guns and Gear was featured on CNN. This guy got blasted today on the Trace. Anything that surprised you that little new media guys like us are getting picked up by actual quote unquote real media?
just makes me sad. I haven't had a hit piece yet. I don't, Rolling Stone hasn't come after me yet, or CNN, but no, it doesn't surprise me. Like we talked about it before, it's an election year, so of course they love to talk about us, but it means we're doing something good. It means the Goals Convention did something good where they had to embed all these people to sit and make fun of our shirts or complain about our shirts and us just loving freedom, which is hilarious.
There was an article that came out today in the Trace, and they're like, yeah, we went to the conference in Knoxville, and people said this and people said that. And on the floor were people wearing T-shirts that say, quote, the ATF is gay, close quote, and taxes are gay, close quote. I think it's fantastic. And I think what's funny is how shocked they are that someone would have an ATF is gay shirt. You know why? Because the ATF is gay.
They like to do everything backdoor, and that makes them just about GAY.
ATF? Yeah, it's I think we're in a good timeline right now. Like Anthony said, it's an election year, so things are a little bit more dialed up. People are a little more sensitive, or at least clutching pearls on a greater level. All right, so for the folks that did not attend, the Goals Convention had a massive show floor with booths everywhere, like a typical. It's not like a gun show, because you go to a gun show, all the guns are for sale. It's actual manufacturers and distributors has all of their wares out for you to peruse. Not really to buy, but to look at. What's a booth that stood out to you? What's something that you really liked seeing on the floor?
Well, Blackout Coffee. We launched our new product, so I'm taking every second I can because these are they're really, really good. It's not just because I am part of the ownership, but they're really, really good. Took us 2 years to get here, and then it was tight that we were able to get them for the event.
Full disclosure, all three of us on our channels we advertise with, and I am a tiny minority owner of the company. But you debuted these cold ones, and you have two different flavors, the regular and the blueberry. You took a bunch of us down there. We all tried it. Were you, honest to goodness, were you surprised at the reaction? Because you were kind of worried that it would just be, oh, Jared, we love your coffee.
Yeah. It was extremely humbling. We sold out. We gave the samples away, but there were very, very few people that had anything negative to say. And the negative ones were like, yeah, it's okay, but I don't drink coffee, and this isn't going to make me drink coffee, which I'll take that. That's a win.
I think it's honest to goodness. I'm not just saying that, honest to goodness. Actually, the day we got back, you hollered at me. You were driving over here to the lounge, and you said, hey, do you want a can of cold coffee? The answer is Yes. All right. So what about you, Anthony? And we're going to come back to you. I want to talk about actual products. Anthony, what is something on the floor? Maybe that's not a product that you own, but maybe an actual product that you saw that you actually liked that got your attention. Who on the, I know we were busy on the floor. We didn't get a lot of time, but what stood out to you?
Yeah, I didn't get a lot of time on the floor, like Johnny said. I think the last day after you guys had already left, after I was done my obligations, I walked the floor real quick. I stopped by Premier Body Armor, and they have a bunch of like specialty kits that they do for schools and teachers in their classrooms, where it's like a shield for if someone's trying to come in the classroom, and on the back of it, it has a bunch of pull away pouches for like med kits and specialized tourniquets for teachers who maybe don't know how to actually do cat tourniquets and all that stuff. I thought that was cool because you have a company that's, you know, trying to have a solution for something kind of out of the box. And all the time you hear the anti-gunners complain about, you know, school shootings and all that stuff. And you actually have a company that's saying, okay, well, let's give them a product to actually protect themselves if whatever locality is not letting them carry. So I thought that was pretty cool. But other than that, I don't know if I saw much on the floor that excited me. I didn't get to have any of that, you know, special blackout coffee, cold drink. Nobody brought me any, Jared. I didn't get to get any.
I told you where to go. You just don't.
Yeah, it was free. Here's what you have to do. You walk up to the booth, you extend one of your phalanges, you grip
My phalanges,
your pie hold, like just like college. You remember college, Anthony? Yeah, you remember that. Jared, what's the product that didn't get your attention at Range Day? You went out to Range Day and Fire Lot. I did not go, but you went. What stood out at Range Day?
You know, the Bodyguard 2.0 380 from Smith & Wesson, it's impressive. It's a 380, which makes it weird that I liked it. And that's what everybody said in our group when we went up and shot them. Like, it's so much different than the original one. Like we have the original one. My wife has it. It's like a little, you know, pocket purse, but the trigger's so much better. The gun, just the size and the feel of it so much better. And it was a little weird to see it not say Springfield, Mass, but I liked it even more that it said Tennessee on it.
I think what's interesting is that Mr. Guns and Gear was right over there in the Llama Lounge, and you were sitting here with us, and he said the same thing. He said that's the gun that was the standout, a 380.
Yeah, and he said he ordered
standout
one right after he shot
He
it.
said he bought one. So holy smokes, I didn't see it. I didn't go to Range Day, but everybody is saying that 380 is the jam. Now, I've already accused you of being big gay, Anthony. Let me ask you, you know, all wiener jokes aside, would you be willing to actually use or carry a 380? And it's because that's the gayest round out there.
I don't know. I mean, the smallest I ever go is 9mm, but I guess I know some people who do like little pocket pistols if they don't want to fully. Maybe, yeah,
Better than 25.
Maybe.
It is better than a 25 ACP.
Yeah,
better than the 2022 Magnum that a lot of numbskulls carry. We have a mutual friend, Al. He carries in his boot one of those. He carries a Bond Arms. He calls it a Derringer, but it's actually a Bond Arms. It's a 22 Magnum, and I think we're going to set records on this episode for saying the word gay. That's super gay. 380. I pick on 380 guys a lot, but it's a viable round. It really is. You get a lot of. I remember there was a YouTuber years ago who said that if you just look at how much ammo you can carry. You're going to be able to carry this much ammo. How many rounds do you have? And that's the great. And so you're always trying to find this balance of there's no such thing as stopping power, people. That's not a thing. Yeah. But you are going to try to get as much momentum and lead downrange. And so have enough powder in there and enough size and then be able to carry enough. Like a 150 BMG would be awesome. But it's too big. You're only going to get 2 rounds. And so 380 is almost in that wheelhouse. I'm with Anthony. 9mm is probably.
I wonder how many people are like actually carrying multiple like mags of 380 though, because a lot of people, they're just, exactly. And most people, when they have a 380, they're trying to be as small and compact as possible. They're not carrying multiple mags. So like, you know, the amount of rounds you can have, I feel like is diminished by the fact that you're not actually carrying multiple mags. But I mean, I get it. People just want a pocket gun.
I agree. I can tell you where you can get 380 is from my friends at Brownells. They were one of the big sponsors in Knoxville. We went out to dinner with the Brownells folks. Massive selection, and they're sponsoring one of the sponsors of today's episode. They do a lot of good for a lot of people.
They do. They're always running sales. They usually have stuff when others don't, or they're on back order. And just like the businesses we do business with regularly, we obviously vet them. And Brownells, they're solid patriots there. We have personal relationships that have lasted a decade with some of the folks at Brownells. So solid people.
Big thank you to the folks at Brownells. Jump over there. We can't tell you where to go, but I bet you can find them. And I bet you can use the Google or the DuckDuckGo and find our friends over at Brownells. All right, speaking of friends, we met a lot of friends in the aisle. One of the things, we had a range day, we had a media day, we had the big area where everybody was just walking around looking at stuff and getting free coffee. And then you have the panel rooms where people are doing classes and panels, and we all did panels. Now, but then you have the public, the viewers, the people, our people, y'all. And one of the things that we kept talking about, this table is sticky. You've mentioned that like 3 times, and I finally found the sticky. For those of y'all that are listening on a podcast, our table is sticky, and I can't stop touching it. I really want to smell it to see if it's like something like lovely, like, I don't know, like a Jolly Rancher. I'm afraid. I've now been called gay. Shocking around here. Welcome to the Liberty Lounge. One of the things that we all talked about is how freaking engaged people were in this show, that the public, like, they knew what was going on.
Yeah, and it was really cool to see, because this was GOA's first ever. And the people, now we know because the event's over, but the people who attended were our people who were plugged in. They love the Second Amendment. They hate the infringements. They want to see GOA fight the good fight to stop it. And I don't know about you, but I've never been stopped more in any show I've ever gone to, and that includes SHOT Show and when I used to go to the NRA show. It was awesome to see our people, and how many TriStar shirts were there. That was awesome too.
TriStar is one of the sponsors. This was not planned. Like, we didn't plan to do, hey, coffee and TriStar and Brownells. But
there were a lot of them, man.
There was a lot of TriStar shirts there, and it's a company that all three of us are is near and dear, hopefully, to all three of us. And it was just wild to see that people are wearing like fun two-way stuff. And that's not a commercial at all, but it's at tristartrading.com. Use code Liberty. But people are plugged in. Like, people really, like, they were engaged. It wasn't like, hey, don't I know you from YouTube? Cool. No, they're like, Jared, that one video you did that was really, really good. Johnny, hey, that one thing you did, my wife really liked that. Anthony, you're plugged in, and they're talking about cases with Anthony. Anthony, what's one of your favorite, I don't like the word fan, I just want to say just a viewer, one of your favorite viewer reactions from last weekend?
Oh man, there's so many. But
well,
like,
pick
Jared,
one. Pick one, Anthony. Just pick one. I'm only asking.
No, those people were just so plugged in. I think it was really cool. There was a couple who came from California, drove 2 days from California all the way to Knoxville just to hang out with all three of us. I don't know if he found you guys, but he wanted me to sign his vest and all that. That was really cool. There was a ton of people like that, but that one was like, man, you drove 2 days. I mean, he's nearby me too.
Yeah, it's wild. I came all the way from California. They came to my Friday night show. They were super, super nice, super cool people. I had a Vietnam vet come up to me, and he was like all the Vietnam vets, a little grizzled, a little mountain manish, a little scary. Like, I think he probably had stabby things in his boot, guaranteed.
He definitely did.
100%. Oh, yeah. He's all grizzled up. Like, my uncle's a Vietnam guy, and just, I mean, a mountain man. And he came up and he had this green Vietnam vet hat on, his army green, and he got us all to sign the bill. And you know, I'm not one of those guys that every time you meet somebody who was in the service, thank you for your service, because especially the younger guys, they kind of get tired of that. And I try to like just be careful about just blowing them up every time. But that guy, I stopped him and I said, hey, you guys were mistreated. When y'all came back, you were spit at and mistreated. And I said, I hope that my generation has made up for that. And we had a great talk about that. He's like, yeah, man. He said, things have changed a lot in my lifetime. So I think one of my favorite, coolest things, and I mean, it's fun to sign autographs and sign T-shirts and meet people that drive from freaking California. It's fantastic. But to be able to stop a vet and say, I'm thankful, but I hope things are even better. One of your favorite interactions with the viewer?
I met one gentleman, and I know he watches the podcast, so I'm going to, be vague here, but he stopped me and was very emotional. Not that just because he got to meet me, but he presented me with something that his best friend who had just passed away wanted me to have, and it was a hatchet. And
that thing wasn't a hatchet; that was a tomahawk.
Yeah,
it looks really, really cool.
Looks straight out of the Patriot.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool.
It was an honor that that people care that much to want to pass something on to somebody that they watch on YouTube. It was very, very heartwarming, and it hit me in the feels.
I got some big questions for y'all after the jump.
We want to thank the sponsor of today's show, Patriot Mobile. For 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. And when I say only, trust me, they're the only one. Patriot Mobile is a new supporter of the Liberty Lounge, and we are proud to partner with them. Patriot Mobile offers dependable nationwide coverage, giving you the ability to access all 3 major networks, which means you get the same coverage you've been accustomed to without funding the left. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you're sending the message that you support free speech, religious freedom, the sanctity of life, the Second Amendment, and our military veterans and first responder heroes. Their 100% US-based customer service team makes switching easy. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their team will help you find the best plan that meets your needs. Just go to patriotmobile.com/liberty or call 972-PATRIOT. You can get free activation when you use the offer code LIBERTY. Join me and make the switch today.
Let's talk about takeaways, because I think this is a great litmus test. It's a great microcosm of what's going on in the gun industry today. In some ways, things are pretty bad. There's some things that we're dealing with on the national and state levels that's just horrific, our laws and all of that stuff that we talk about all the time. But on the other hand, it's just wild to see how plugged in people are. The companies are producing some really good products. There's some new stuff that came out we've talked about. I walked around and looked at a lot of different firearms. We're in a really sweet time. When I first got into the industry, it was a rarity to see a pistol with a red dot on it, or that was already cut in. And now the whole industry, it's industry standard, getting 3 mags with a lot of firearms. The optics are moving from a piece of plastic that Glock has stuck up, the iron sight on a Glock. It's now moving a lot more just brighter, lit, or fiber optics. I think the industry has changed. So what's a takeaway? Anthony, what's a takeaway? Being able to say, hey, this might be a slice of where the industry is right now based on last weekend. For folks that didn't go, what's your takeaway? Where are we at in the industry based on what you saw?
I think, like you said, Johnny, there's all still bad in the industry, but I think it's really cool about. I'm going to talk about the companies that were at the convention, how plugged in they are now with the 2A cause, because it wasn't always the case. Like when you go to SHOT Show or NRA or any of those other conventions, it's not always the case that those companies are supporting the 2A cause or really plugged in with like what organizations like GOA and others are doing. But almost every single one at the convention was there primarily to support GOA and their cause. And I talked to a lot of companies where they're like, yeah, we weren't sure really what, especially because it's, the inaugural one. We weren't really sure what the turnout was going to be, but we wanted to support GOA. We believe in what they do. We wanted to support the cause. And I think a lot of companies are very surprised by the turnout, not just the numbers of people, but again, the quality of people. I remember I was talking to Mantis on the last day, and both of their reps were saying, how engaged the audience that they interacted with were. They were telling me stories about how usually when they go to like the NRA show or even sometimes SHOT Show, they'll interact with people and they're like, these people look at the Mantis products like, well, why do I need to dry fire? But they didn't get any of those questions at all from anybody at the GOA convention, because these are real shooters, people who are really plugged in with the cause and really, live the Second Amendment life. So I think that just shows we're heading in the right direction, especially since we can have a convention with that type of people, that we have that number of people that, are going to go to that type of show. So
takeaway.
I'm going to have to give them credit because we saw it firsthand. Like Kaylee and John and their team worked so damn hard.
The GOA actual team. Yeah.
And they only did this in 6 months. Now they have a year to plan.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only going to be better next year. And they did a stand-up job. Like Anthony said, that the companies that were there did it to support GOA, which is great to see. And I know there were companies that were like, we don't do first-year shows. So next year will be even better and bigger. We were talking, we'll leave the other company out, but we've gone to other conventions that were in like year 5 or 6, and this is already bigger than that.
Already bigger. My son has been to he's 21, but he's been to a lot of shows now. And he walked around before he got there. He walked around, then came and found me at an event I was working in. And I said, what do you think? And he goes, dude, it's already better than show X or show Y. And yeah, they crushed it big time. I think there's an important point here. And we need to market guns. We need to get this stuff out there. We need good companies that are capitalists, that are making money and feeding their families. The NSSF, who puts on SHOT Show, that is a money-making adventure, and it is nothing else. I know they've got some things they do for kids and some foundations and stuff, but they are a, how do we get as much outdoor gear to the people as possible? Whereas the GOA is the only non-compromise, I don't know the right word, organization that supports the Second Amendment and fights for us. And these companies are coming not just to sell their product, but to support the GOA.
Yeah, there's two different worlds. Like NSSF, they represent the industry.
Nothing wrong with that.
Which is fine. But GOA represents us, we the people, and they fight. They're a civil rights organization where NSF is not. It was just, I mean, like, we can't say it enough. The people who attended, the public who attended, they're the core of the Second Amendment. They're the people who donate to have lawsuits filed. They're the people who watch, all the people to get the news, whether it's YouTube or Rumble or whatever. These people are plugged in. They're not, they're not a fuddy type crowd. We didn't see many scooters or the crates that we see.
For those of y'all that ride on a scooter, I am sorry. We have that is very hurtful. There's some people. What if some dude has arthritis or he lost his leg fighting for freedom in Iraq and fighting for the Constitution? And he's on a scooter.
You haven't been to SHOT Show, so you don't even know about it.
These scooters and the
scooters drive into people. They don't care. They just make a hole. I'm coming through. There was
Why don't
none
you
of
just
that.
Openly make fun of fat people? How about that? Just do that and call them stinky.
There were big people there, man, but they weren't riding scooters into people's ankles.
That is anti-scooter, and I reject that.
It's pro ankle.
He's not anti-scooter. He's pro ankle. Anthony, Jared is suggesting that this was, and we all have a little FUD in us. All of us do on some level. Every now and then I'll be like, that's not the way I did it when I was 14. However, this was a very non-FUD event. There was no beef jerky set up, though we like beef jerky. There was no pickles out there. And Jared said there was a minimum amount of old farts riding around, tearing up people's ankles, begging for free patches. And I was thankful for this, almost no open carry. Now, there's going to be guys that get wild about that and say, open carry is my God-given right, George Washington. I got it, Skippy. I got it. However, this was a gun-free building that the GOA had to, I don't know how big the fight was, but they had to put their foot down.
It's a good fight.
It was a big fight. And that was the deciding factor to actually say yes to Knoxville when the Knoxville Convention Center said, yes, y'all can carry. So as a courtesy, and I think it is a courtesy to people to maybe not open carry at a giant convention where there's 10,000 people, though it be your George Washington right. I got it. Like, I totally get it. I think there was a one guy and gal that were there with ARs. I thought that was a little obnoxious. Though it be their right, you're at a gun show. I got it. Like, I totally get it. But it was kind of nice seeing regular people. You didn't have the normal gun show guy with a 1911 on his hip plowing into people trying to get to the beef jerky and or the hot tubs that were on sale. Anthony, do you feel like the event was a little less fuddish and a step in the right direction?
Yeah, like I said, I think the crowd is completely every event we go to, the crowds are different. Like, we all know when we say, like, you go to NRA's convention, everybody has a very specific person in mind who you engage with at those shows. SHOT Shows is very interesting too, because it's technically industry people, but when we talk about the people on the scooters or the people, Asian American people, whatever you want to call them, Chinese people with their crates, pulling their crates everywhere. I mean, that's why everybody got COVID. That, what is it, in 2020 is because we had all those people coming.
China.
What has the Liberty Lounge devolved into? At this point, we're making fun of. Why don't you just call them Oriental, Anthony? You're like,
wait, am I not speaking truth though? Like, Jared, is that not true? Like, the amount.
Most of the building got sick that year. Yes,
China. Because of Chinese tourists coming down and taking patches. I got it, but just call them Orientals and the guys that built the railroad.
It's the Chinese nationals taking photos of all of our stuff so they can go back to China and make clones. This is what happens at SHOT Show.
Yeah, there's a big turnout from companies in China that come to SHOT Show to secure,
reverse engineer
that too. But they have their products too, and they try to get more business for engineering and stuff.
And they got us all sick. Anthony's just like, oh, those Chinese people with their sickness. I am the voice. I am the voice of inclusion today, and I'm also I'm really excited about the Democratic National Convention, which is going to be airing tonight. I am a rainbow warrior, apparently, and that is a joke. We've had nitwits, morons, knuckleheads take little snippets from this show. Did you see that one a few weeks ago where I said, I'll advertise any product. You give me enough money, I'll advertise that product." That was a joke, morons. And there was some people who took that out and are like, "Oh my God, Johnny's a shill. He'll do anything for money." Anthony, did you see that?
I haven't seen it, but you know what else people took very, very serious out of the
The
podcast?
Asians? What, the Asian?
Yeah, no, the can opener joke. People really took your point about the can opener very serious, and it was brought up probably 5 or 6 times to me at GOA's convention.
The hell, Anthony, that's not a joke, and we're not joking about that today. A few episodes ago, for those of y'all that are just watching your first and last episode, this is the gay moron apparently episode. But yeah, we were talking about things we would take into the apocalypse, and I think canned food is a pretty good option because you go down to get fresh vegetables, fresh meats. They're going to rot in about 2 days. Anthony doesn't understand that basic concept of biology, and I'm going to take a can opener into the apocalypse. And I had so many viewers come up and pat my back and congratulate me, and they said number one, they're sorry that I have to work with these two, and number
Did not
two.
happen.
Yeah, 100% happened.
Fake news. Fake news.
And they said, number two, I can't believe how smart that is to carry a can opener. And I had one sweet viewer who I only called him an asshole twice. He brought me the little military can. Is it a P38? I think that's called. I think it's called a P38. I now have a smaller can opener. I could even carry it in my prison wallet into the apocalypse, ready to rock and roll.
Someone's all up in his feels.
Yeah.
Not a joke. Anthony's like, "Oh, they loved your joke, Johnny." Not a joke.
I had a couple of companies that say that they would be willing to build us a battle belt can opener just for Johnny, so he could.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, there's a couple companies that at goals.
Oh, that would be cool. Triple retention can opener.
A triple retention can opener. Hells yeah, y'all are gonna die in the apocalypse. I'm gonna survive and thrive in the apocalypse with beanie weenies, potted meat. Me and Campbell's soup, chunky Campbell's soup, and you're gonna be like,
you would want the chunky one, wouldn't you?
Let me get some chicken noodle soup. And I'm going to say, no, show me your can opener, bitch, is what I'm going to say.
That's good.
That's not a joke. We're
off the rails. We are off the rails.
We're off the rails. The railroads that the Chinese built. Yeah, I got it. I follow. All right. Moving forward. Here's what's funny is we just had one of my favorite shows I've ever been to. This is following an episode at this sticky table that 3-4 weeks ago, we had a whole episode that Anthony kind of started. He started us down that pathway. The gun shows are dead. And now we come out of what I think was one of the best gun shows I've ever been to. A little bit smaller, still big. Like a lot of people came there like, this is incredible, 200 booths. But you can eliminate about 50 of those booths as real specific. Like I don't need to go see the ladies' leather purse booth.
Yeah.
So there's about.
But the
50,
ladies liked it though.
The ladies loved it. It was gorgeous. I mean, really, really nice stuff. But there's about 50 that just didn't interest me. Things that I wasn't super interested in. So for me, 100, 125 booths that I just thought were pretty cool. And we all have overlapping Venn diagrams, Venn diagrams of booths that we like. Medium-sized show, kind of fun.
Yeah.
Anthony, you said a couple weeks ago that gun shows are dead. Where are you at now?
I think in some ways, yes, but this was different. So I think it's important. One thing we haven't really talked much about on this specific episode is, yes, there was a gun show. There was a floor with products and stuff, but the way GOA did it was different than other conventions. And this is where I really gave them props. And I told a lot of the GOA guys, like, as far as the show itself, its size is pretty comparable to some other ones we've been to. But then when you add on the fact that they did, Johnny, your live show the day before, and the range day, and the media only day, and then every single day running multiple panels all day, multiple talks all day, it's just completely different. The purpose behind this was not just, hey, come to this event and just look at, all the AR-15s and the Glock clones. There was a different purpose behind this.
Yep.
And you guys saw firsthand how packed some of those panels were, how packed some of those talks were. And just some of the topics, like I've never seen discussed at any of these shows before. I mean, maybe NSSF at SHOT Show does some of these, but I don't know. Jared, have you ever been to any of those talks really at SHOT Show? I haven't.
Not like we saw. No, this was the first for me, and I'm glad they did it because people could go and not only see cool products and maybe mentally spend a couple grand, but come away with a plan, not just like being talked at, but being taught how you can be part of the fix locally, state level, and federally, and how to do it. And got to talk with people like John Lovell, Mr. Guns and Gear, Victoria Sparts from Congress, Kane, Mayor Jacobs.
We gotta meet Mayor Jacobs. Kane. Yeah. Holy smokes. We had a great interaction with him. That dude is plugged in. He's the mayor of Knoxville. He's a WWF. Which one is it?
He's WWE.
WWE. I get those all confused. They all come together.
Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah. Hall of Famer in the WWE and the mayor of Knoxville. Man,
still
plugged in.
Jacked.
He is jacked. Holy smokes. He sat in between Jared and myself at an event, and he's plugged in. So you got a politician that knows what's going on. I thought it was an interesting blend. All the talking was a lot of some information. There was a really good times for the public to come and just ask their questions and get engaged on specific things. I was on a couple of panels that had lawyers on there that were giving out actual information. And then, Anthony alluded to it a minute ago. They let me do a comedy show on Friday night, and I appreciate you guys coming. And Jared, you were funny on stage as well. It was a good time. But I just thought that was kind of cool. And then the brass and a lot of the staff of the GOA came just to sit and laugh and have a good time. I don't know other shows that do that. Some of them are so freaking serious in how we got innovation. We got Glock number 17. Now it's called perfection. There's a new Glock coming out eventually, generation 6. And what's fascinating is they're still going to use the tagline perfection. Now we're perfect. And they're just so serious about just, it's a serious industry. I get it. We protect our families and in the Constitution, but to be able to stop on a Friday night and giggle and laugh. And then afterwards, we all went and got cleaned up because it was a sweaty outdoor event. Got cleaned up. We went out and got some food and some German food and some Coca-Colas in Steins, and we're hanging out. And then the Dead Air Silencer guys roll in. I didn't know they were coming, but they roll in. Classic Firearms rolls in. Legally Armed America, and just people that we know and love just rolling in, sitting around on a Friday night and just having fun. We don't do that enough in the industry.
Yeah, and we all would say behind the curtain, if you could ask us what's the best part about doing these, it's being able to see our friends again and hang around and just let our guard down and have fun and catch up on times.
Anthony, final word on the Goals Convention.
It was a lot of fun. Again, it's fun hanging out with all the guys and the girls and again, like Jared said, letting our guard down and being silly and having late night drinks and doing all that stuff. The panels were awesome. The fact that you could get anything at Goals, from the legal panel all the way to John Lovell and Mr. Guns Gear. They did like an emergency preparedness panel. And then you guys were on the Made in Tennessee panel with Kane. And he was talking about his favorite carry gun is the Shadow Systems. And it was very interesting, all the dynamics. And really, I feel like there was something for everybody. If you just wanted to see guns and equipment, it was there for you. If you wanted to engage with creators, that was there. If you wanted to learn stuff, it was there. If you wanted to laugh, go to Johnny's thing, it was there. So there was just a lot. I think an amazing start, and I'm excited to see, how it grows and what it becomes.
Well, I think a lot of people know what SHOT Show is, but they don't get a chance to go because it's industry only or media only. And a lot of people won't go to NRA show anymore for obvious reasons, because they've changed the way they do things and people don't want to support them. Well, this is a way that you can get a sample of what those two shows are like, but just have it be down to earth. Like, if you guys and gals get a chance to go next year, I strongly recommend, if you can, to make your way to Knoxville and check this show out. It was a great time. I didn't hear many people at all have anything other than good things to say. And the ones who were upset was because they had to leave early for family or for whatever. So it was a really, really good time. And it's in a famous area of Knoxville. It's right there at the World Fair Park. It's a really, really cool event and a really cool spot.
I think for me, because the vast majority of y'all weren't there, but I think it's very healthy to stop and go, there's a lot of good going on in the industry. There's a lot of men, a lot of women, a lot of people that are ambulatory and not in scooters. that are willing to get together and say, we're in this together. We're going to fight and continue to fight, because the GOA does not play around. And this is not an ad for the GOA. They don't freaking play around. They are the only no compromise, and they are legitimately serious about that. And to y'all's point, yeah, if you want to go do this or go do that or do funny or do work on how to protect your home or look at new, cool, new, shiny toys, that's cool too. But the bottom line is they are serious and they put their money where their mouth is. And it was just bleeping awesome. Hey, however y'all found us, we are glad that you did. We'll see you next time here on the Liberty Lounge.